Good morning, kids. Today we're checking out a little bit of an old video from Just Scorcho, the top 10 AI bosses in video games. Let's hop in and see what the fiery brand Joker himself has to say for these computerized robots. Computerized robots? Damn it, I should have said some level. Maybe I'm a little nervous or something. Anyway, let's check it out. It has been a bit since I've checked out stuff, and the most fun top 10 list he's made is about the top 10 bosses in video games. But, maybe I'll check that out for next week. Excuse me.
Man versus machine. One of the major foundations of conflict and the foundation for today's boss countdown. The AI bosses. First, I feel like I need to clarify this. This is not the same as fighting a regular robot. A plain old robot can only be programmed to do basic tasks, but an
Simple
AI
commands.
gives that robot the ability to use logic, perceive the world around it, and be almost on par with the human without the handicaps of human emotions.
Yep.
But, of course, something's gotta go wrong.
What
And the AI
the-
usually goes hostile against its creator / anything with a pulse within the next 5 feet. And it's up to us to try and outsmart these rogue computer programs. And funny enough, pretty much all AI bosses are the very last boss in a game,
Ratchet
apparently.
and Clank?
That's because at the end of everything, they're the biggest threats of all. At least, that's what the art community says.
Humans fear artificial intelligence, and yet they rely on our abilities to do the most mundane tasks. By doing nothing and forcing others to work, you assure your self-destruction. How ironic.
I'm suddenly having second thoughts about this. All joking aside, before we
GLaDOS?
start, I'd like to clarify one last thing. Cyborgs do not count on this list. They still
Of
have
course
sentience
not.
and sapience, and we're only looking at the cold, calculative machines here.
I mean, why would a cyborg count as AI? That is literally a human-robot fused together into one body. That's not AI. I mean, maybe you could have an AI system involved in the cyborg, but in the end, the cyborg is made from a human.
That being said, we absolutely count the ones that appear human, especially those made to resemble someone who's no longer with us. Pathos is such a lovely spice.
Oh boy.
When you're the Demon King who embodies all forms of evil perceived by mankind, it only makes sense that one of your incarnations would be an AI. In the
Yep.
distant future chapter of Live Alive, we get exactly that with Decimus, aka OD10. This mother computer is meant to
damn
be the
it.
main processing unit supervising activities in cogito ergo sum. For those that don't know, that's the classic philosophical phrase, I think, therefore I am. Subtle.
Oh.
Its mission is to ensure that the astronaut successfully transports an alien specimen. However, due to the team's lack of cooperation, OD10 deemed that they were not worth helping and decided to terminate them one by one. It's up to the protagonist Cube to put a stop.
There is a way you probably could have done that a hell of a lot easier, and that simply would be open the airlocks and turn off oxygen, and of course lock away the suits. Even if they do manage to somehow get a suit and get it on, ain't nothing they can do. They're off the ship. There you go. Oh, wait, the cargo would die. Damn it.
Up to the mother computer by logging into the mainframe through a game console. Yeah, well, it's the only place you could do combat in this chapter, so I guess it should make sense. OD10 is surrounded by stabilizers, which can protect it and heal it each turn as a counterattack. Taking them all at once isn't going to do you any good because of this, so the stabilizers had to be taken down one by one. The computer itself can lower Cube's stats, inflict lightning damage, and attack it from anywhere with intrusion detection. Fun
Frickin'
fact, if
damn
you
it.
use HP lookup on it, it will take its demon form. The fight itself is pretty fun,
Ooh.
and the story around it is really well done. But I'll be honest, it's a little jarring that this is the only fight we get in the chapter. Because of that, we don't get to accustom ourselves to using Cube beforehand. Even Wild West has a fight or two before the big boss to get you accustomed to how Sundowner plays. So what's the deal here? At least Cube's a potent healer during the final chapter, assuming he doesn't get smacked up while charging Maser Cannon.
Damn, that was kind of cool. On to number 9.
You ever notice that Sonic has a whole gallery of doppelgangers, or at least foils? You can fill a
A
whole
few
bingo
duplicates,
chart with
yeah.
how many evil or misunderstood counterparts the blue blurs matched wits with. What's that? A square with the evil robot duplicate? Bingo! While most of Sonic's duplicates aren't exactly full
Yeah, we got about 3 of those. You got Metal Sonic, Silver Sonic, Mecha Sonic.
on evil, Metal Sonic is rotten to the processor core. Built by Robotnik as his right-hand droid, this Robo-Hedgehog has been programmed with one solitary goal: to destroy
Kill
his do-gooder
Sonic.
twin and prove himself superior. Honestly, his hatred for Sonic is probably even worse than Eggman's. Seriously, to lose so many times to his loathsome copy has gotta sting something fierce. So much that it all culminates when he becomes the big bad in Sonic Heroes. He spent most of the game disguised as Eggman,
Kneel
confronting our heroes multiple
before
times and
your
studying them.
master.
Once he has all the data he needs.
All living things kneel before your master.
This scene
The
is
final
still
transformation begins. He morphs into the vicious-looking Metal Madness and does battle against the other teams. Now he looks fearsome enough as it is, but as the old saying goes, this ain't even his final form. Meet
Whoa,
the final
what?
evolution of Metal Sonic, Metal Overlord. And he's metal in every sense of the word. He
Damn.
commands the skies and barrages you with crystal attacks. You can rush to his attacks with Team Supersonic and use them to fire back. Do this enough times and boom! Snuff the tragic dragon. But he somehow lives to hold a grudge another day
Oh,
and be
what?
reprogrammed into a mindless drone. It's kind of a bummer, because this arc in Metal Sonic's life is actually brilliant. What was supposed to be some robotic muscle becoming obsessed with proving his superiority over his original counterpart, heck, he even convinced himself that he's Sonic. And that obsession drove him to turn himself into a monster using data he collected himself. It really shows how far he's risen above his initial
that
program.
makes sense.
However, his actual boss fight isn't that tough, so that kind of costs him some points.
Yeah. On to... Oh, hold on, folks. We'll be right back. And we're back.
Sorry, wrong guy.
What's going on?
There we go. In Pony Island, you go
Oh,
up against several
Osmodius.
malevolent AIs named after demons. For the most part, they're about as friendly as you'd expect. This makes Asmodeus stand out
Oh,
all the more.
yeah, Asmodeus.
In stark contrast
Isn't it-
to the others.
Okay, hold on. Is it Asmodeus or Osmodius? Because look at that. That's Osmodius. So, I mean, I guess you could pronounce it Amadeus, but it's spelled Osmodius. And it is meant to be, I mean, you know, a demon lord from hell, so it probably is meant to be pronounced Osmodius. But, yeah, you know what? Potato, potato.
Asmodeus is nothing but friendly and polite to you. You're not trying to outsmart him, you're just playing a simple game with him. Of course, he'll make it anything but simple, but he won't just try to fake you out with misdirections. He'll use the nature of the game itself to catch you off guard. Eventually, he'll even try to fake a game crash. It's the level of insidiously clever fourth wall breaking that we haven't seen since Eternal Darkness that makes this boss a delight.
Ooh.
And when you beat him, Asmodeus politely accepts his loss and congratulates you for being so clever. Okay, where's the trap? Honestly, the whole thing makes you wish that there was an option to let Asmodeus live and just go hang out with him. Seems like a weirdly nice guy. If there was that option, I might have taken it.
Unlike some of my teammates.
Oh, what was that? Okay, you know, that was kind of quick. On to number 7.
Oh look, we're talking about Nier. Time for it to get weird.
The Nier series is one I've talked about a few times, more specifically with the Shadow Lord and the theming behind Automata. Speaking of Automata, there's no way we're going to talk about AI and not mention the characters from this game. Actually, most of the bosses and characters from this game can be considered an option for this list, as they're all artificial and use simulated intelligence. Or do they?
Whoa, what the-
No, we're not talking about that here. Go back to philosophical games for that. While most of the fights in this game are solid with Platinum Games at the helm for the gameplay, if I had to choose one fight, it would have to be the final fight with Adam in Chapter 8. Adam is a complicated character. He's an artificial life form created from the evolving AI of the machines to replicate the intelligence and mannerisms of the androids in order to fight them better. Due to this, he
Okay.
has a higher intelligence than most of the others, though he doesn't start that way. Birthed from a cocoon in a
Straight
very
up Kendall.
I'll admit, off-putting scene, he gains abilities and powers as you fight him. His new intelligence makes him very curious about the mannerisms and life forms of humans, to the point he will dress as them and even recreate an entire city to determine how they live. This leads him to feel curious about the concepts of life and death, and will eventually
Sounds like this Adam guy could have actually been very useful.
lead him to duel with 2B. Or not to be, haha, get it? It's clever. At this point, Adam has reached the pinnacle of his abilities and starts by using blocks to throw at you and taunt you. This phase is short, as after, he will turn off his connection to the network, the thing that will keep him alive if his body is destroyed, and then fight you as he has been in the last 2 fights. By using kicks and shockwaves, he will try and keep some distance between you. If you use your pod to shoot him, he will use a barrier to absorb and launch the energy back at you.
Damn.
To beat him, you need to keep close, dodge his wide kicks, and attack him when he is open. It feels like a proper duel between adversaries, and one with plenty of tension as an injured 9S is at stake here.
Damn, what happened to
I
him?
could 100% go into the intricacies of the philosophy and motivations behind Adam and the Psychology 101 college course he's teaching you during the fight, but let's also take this fight as it is. A fight between two AI trying to decide the fate of the third. At the very least, Adam found his answer on death. So dark, so cold.
Can we go back to
Damn.
the days when you could just save a princess from a castle?
So cold, brother. So cold. On the number
We had to
6.
talk about the Portal franchise on this list eventually.
GLaDOS or
But
Wheatley?
how do I choose between the two heavy hitters, GLaDOS and Wheatley? You know what? Screw it. I'm doing both. You can't really have one without the other because of how similar they're.
I mean, technically they all the same bosses. I mean, exact same bodies, actions, and locations. The only difference is just the head and voice talking back to you. Other than that, no difference.
Fights are, and they're honestly two of the funniest video game bosses ever. GLaDOS is the AI of the Aperture Science Facility. At first, she just seems like your typical friendly, cryptic, disembodied voice trying to help you escape, but it turns out she's a
a-hole.
sociopathic mad scientist who's been testing you the whole time. And her greatest weapon isn't her rockets or the neurotoxins used to kill all the employees in the facility. No! Her deadliest weapon is her snark.
This plate must not be calibrated to someone of your generousness. I'll add a few zeros to the maximum weight.
You look good, by the
You
way.
look great, by the way. Very healthy. Try it now.
Literally, the only way to defeat her is to remove her personality cores. The only things keeping her mentally sound, yes, this is her being stable. I'm scared for you. Afterwards, she has a complete meltdown, physically and emotionally, and you're free from her. For now. Of
Yes,
course.
yes.
Not even death can save us from her.
No,
Years later, we've got a new,
no.
actually friendly little buddy named Wheatley. He's a personality core who was, in GLaDOS's words, designed to be a moron. And
not just a regular
kinda
moron,
is,
the
but
ultimate
hey, he helps
moron.
us take care of GLaDOS, becomes the facility's new AI, and looks like he's gonna let us leave. So, happy ending, right? Right?
No.
Yeah, no.
No.
Naturally, poor little Wheatley becomes drunk with power and goes completely rogue and turns GLaDOS into a potato battery. A very salty potato battery. He may be a bit of a dunce, but he's still dangerous, so we gotta shut him down too. This time we have to install personality cores. Very corrupt, buggy
Ooh,
personality
damn.
cores that'll hinder
That was
him,
kinda buggy.
including the MVP of them all.
Space!
I know it seems
Gotta love the
blasphemous to
space
put
core.
them this low on the list because both AIs are so iconic, but I feel like the preceding entries just feel more complex than these two. GLaDOS is
I mean,
basically
yeah.
a cryptic mastermind turned buddy cop character, and Wheatley's the undermined stooge who just wants a seat at the big boys table. But dang it if I don't love these two to bits!
That is all right. You may live another day of struggle for monetary and social gain by nurturing parasocial relationships with your patrons
will you
in the
get the
vain
hell out
hopes
of here
that the
before
women
I make you a
enters their
potato
inferior
and eat you?
processing units to part with a rapidly declining currency.
Would you knock it off already?
Step up.
What the hell was that? Does he just scat her way out now?
Hey, Planet Robobot! Didn't think we'd see you here again so soon. Can't blame it though, since this game is Kirby's big step into a bigger, stranger world building. Not that previous Kirby
Love
games didn't
it.
have strangely dark stuff, but this is the game that really pushes how insane the Kirby universe can really get. So yeah, on that note, let's talk about Stardream again. To get into more detail about its origins, Stardream was originally discovered by President Holtman, who then sought to experiment on it. However,
Use it.
one of his experiments caused him to lose his daughter, and she is warped through a parallel dimension. Since then, Haltman dedicated his blood and sweat to reactivating
Abuse
Stardream
it.
so he can use it to bring back his lost daughter. Unfortunately, Stardream's influence has made him go insane, to the point where he became
Naive
power-hungry.
thing.
Didn't even realize his own daughter when she finally returned. Ultimately, he became Stardream's vessel as it takes off to complete Haltman's mission in its own extreme way. We previously encountered Stardream as a giant boss. So
I
for this
remember
list
that.
about AIs, we're looking at the version you fight at the end of the true arena, Stardream Soul OS. In this upgraded version of the fight, Stardream has not only
Ooh.
gotten stronger, but also smarter. It even bore the scar from Galactonite's rampage. So yeah, you thought summoning Galactonite in Meta Nightmare Returns was a reckless decision, but the computer is one step ahead. Its attacks have gotten much faster and
Ooh,
trickier,
damn, it
not
is
to mention
scarred.
having more
Look at
phases
that.
than usual. It even substitutes some of its older attacks for different ones, such as piano keys in place of the protractor, and an eye laser in place of the swallowing attack. Of course, you even got
Ooh.
that Nova coloration just to spice up that bit of fan service, you know? The three-phase battle is pretty long and arduous, but it goes down all the same. Meta Knight launches you toward it, and you get ready to drill that.
Oh yeah, that's right. You don't get to... Oh, hold on. We'll be right back, folks. And we're back. Yeah, that's right. You don't get to drill it and destroy it. Now you get to go for the actual halt on the inside.
Oh, yeah, I forgot this boss is supposed to learn and adapt. In its additional fourth phase, Stardream battles you using its core. You start out by taking down all the pillars protecting the heart. Those may seem
Classic.
like your average destroy the barrier phase at first, except you hear this. Haltman's soul is attached to those pillars. At this point, it's the one thing holding Stardream back from reaching its full power. Having no use left for his soul, it made Kirby aid it to assassinate the man. It's even more twisted
Oh,
when you
damn.
know that when the fight is going on, Haltman has been lamenting all the mistakes he made, regretting having pushed himself so far just to save his daughter, never getting to know that she's been alive and standing next to him all this time. When you
Yep.
finally destroy the pillars, Haltman's soul is removed. Stardream unleashes everything in its arsenal to destroy Kirby
Ooh.
once and for all, even going as far as to launch a one-hit KO desperation attack just before it goes down. As the core explodes, you hear one last scream from Haltman, slow and distorted, as if he felt one last strike of agony before disappearing altogether. Yeah, never mind, Eldritch Monsters. Have some
Oh,
existential
God.
horror, why don't we? Game about a pink baby riding a funny robot, everyone. The
Wasn't
solo-less version of
expecting it.
Stardream really captures how scary calculative the mother computer is, going as far as to use its own opponent as a means to reach its full potential. I'll admit the original fight still
Oh,
feels
boy.
kinda better since it's more fun in a crazy epic way. Not to mention you get to team up with Robobot to finish it off rather than getting pulled off of it as he did here. It's why this particular version of the fight isn't any higher. Still, credit where it's due. The fight remains one of the series' longest and toughest ones, solidifying Kirby's take on the AI villain as a wonderfully threatening time.
Still amazingly good work. On to number 4.
Oh yeah, let's talk Persona, and let's talk Warriors. Yeah, did you guys forget we got a Persona Warriors game? I never forgot.
I did.
I have a mind
I have a
palace
lot
of
of it.
Warriors games that I never forget. No, you can't create your own Phantom Thieves to invade. I didn't do anything wrong. No, overheated about Sonic 06 doesn't count. Anyways, you know how every phone has a digital assistant that talks to you, stores your calendar, and searches for brain surgeries when you say brownie recipes? Well, it became a demiurge.
Okay.
You know, the false god created from the desires and the old Christian heresy of Gnosticism. Don't lie, I can't be the only one
I'm
who
sorry,
uses
what?
religious mythology as table talk. For some context, throughout the game, the metaverse app you used in Persona 5 was replaced with a digital assistant named Emma. This helped you deal with the main plot of Strikers. As before in Persona 5, you spent most of the game thinking the bad guy was some big shot in Japan. This time around, a tech CEO named Akira Konoe. But as you expect,
Akira
it wasn't
Konoe.
Konoe, but
Okay.
Emma all along. Using its power as an app, it stole the souls of every person using it, making them mindless zombies just looking at their phone screen ad infinitum.
What?
Ad infinitum.
Skip to
That
the
means
end, and we have a
forever.
giant god boss that we got to
Right?
kill. You start the fight by splitting your team to kill the cores on the left and right sides of it to keep it from healing. These cores all have different resistances and attacks. You have to have variety with your characters to kill the cores in a timely manner. Then we got the main boss herself, excluding the nihilistic memories that accompany every frickin' Persona boss. This fight is pretty straightforward. She'll attack you with her staff and try to wipe you out with powerful AoE
should
magic.
play that game.
If you time
I
your
do
jumps
own
or
a
dodges
copy of
wrong,
it.
you will take a crap load of damage.
Son of
While you're
a
fighting with your
foibles.
main group, the other party members will be attacking the respawning cores on their own. Thanks to this, Demiurge will be stunned every once in a while, allowing you to debilitate an attacker with powerful magic. Sometimes it will summon a giant beam that you must transport to another platform to dodge. If you keep it up,
Ooh.
between the sick guitar riffs and the crap ton of dialogue, you'll be treated to one of the best finishers in gaming.
Hell yeah. Everyone gets a piece of this. Hell yeah, everyone got a piece. Victory.
Yeah, let's just casually stab God in the chest. This was a
False God.
fantastic fight that combines the
It
fast
says
pace
it
of
right
warriors and
there.
the mythological struggle of Persona. Eat your heart out, Yaldabaoth, and Maruki, and Nick's avatar. While the plot is similar to base Persona 5, the idea of us being absorbed by our phones isn't anything new. Just seeing it take the form of a giant boss fight like this is a spectacle. Also, did you know Emma is voiced in English by Susan Bennett, the original voice for Siri? Yeah, I'll just
Oh.
leave you with that.
Damn, that is okay. I didn't know that. On to number 3. Oh, of course. Oh, come on. What the? I don't. I don't think.
We've made all the jokes about Scarlet and Violet being the glitchiest and possibly most broken Pokemon games. And apparently at the time of this video, there's...
Hold on, no. Hold on. That could be a meme. When you tell your friend and to look at the goal, but not to make it look obvious.
the glitchiest and possibly most broken Pokemon games. And apparently at the time of this video, they're still dealing with bugs in the system. That's a real shame because these are genuinely two of the most well-written Pokemon games. For a while, you know some recurring theme about the Pokemon stories. Most of the narratives involve some wise old professor cheering you on from the sidelines, some evil organization terrorizing a legendary Pokemon, and what have you. This is not bad by any means. If it works, it works. But Scarlet and Violet decided to
classic.
spice the story up with darker, more grounded themes that hit close to home, as well as a few subversions. There's no real villain in this one, just victims of bullying and a broken education safety system. As for the professor, where is the professor? Aside from a few phone calls, the professor is completely absent from the game. But once you
You'll
finish
find
the
out.
3 main story arcs, oh boy, this rabbit hole goes down to the mantle. First of all, we actually have 2 professors this time around. Professor Sada in Scarlet and Turo in Violet. They're both the parent of our new buddy Arvin, who left our poor boy behind to further their research into the mysterious Area Zero. Unfortunately,
and
they
they just-
passed away years ago, and the professors we finally meet at the end of the games are AIs modeled after them. The AIs were programmed to help further the original's goals, but they eventually saw how flawed their counterparts' methods were and reached out to us to help shut everything down. And this is a
what?
fascinating subversion of the typical evil AI. Usually stories with this kind of evil AI make a point about how pure logic is too dangerous and needs human emotion to balance it out. But this one shows that human emotion became too passionate to the point of obsession. And it's the AI
Oh,
that
no.
cannot see the logic in causing inordinate amounts of suffering. But
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
can't be a great scientist unless you shoot yourself in the foot. So it turns out the
Well,
Professor's Science
damn
Project
it
had a
all.
protection protocol that forces their AIs to do battle with anyone the machine sees as an enemy. So yeah, battle time! The first part of the fight is like any other Pokemon battle, facing off against the AI's teams of Paradox monsters, Sada's prehistoric brutes in Scarlet, and Tauros futuristic beasts in Violet. Just a little side note,
Oh, you know what would have actually been good if they had actually swapped that. Like AI Tora, instead of having the futuristic paradox mons that are kind of common, he had the prehistoric ones, and vice versa for Professor Sada. That would have been interesting.
I really like the past and future.
Like, I know that probably sounds a stretch, but still, that sounds like it would actually be kind of cool. Like, she has the futuristic one, but only has access to the prehistoric ones, and vice versa. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think of that, if they had instead swapped their teams.
Alternations between both bosses. But really, Sada using a Master Ball and a Jurassic Jigglypuff? I thought you knew better. Things get really scary in the second round when another protocol causes your Pokeballs to lock up, meaning the only
Oh,
Pokemon
crap.
you can use is the legendary motorcycle dragon you befriended throughout the game. After one last heated brawl, the AIs prepare to sacrifice themselves for the greater good, but not before apologizing to Arvin and forcing our boy to watch as the last remnant of his parents
Bid you
disappear for
adieu.
good. Okay, first of all, to the non-AI professors, I want to say, how dare you abandon this boy? Look at what you did to him! And to the AIs,
So
holy
sweet.
snap, you are the best subversions of AI. You actually tried to be the good parent that the originals weren't. Seriously, seeing them try and fight their programming because they knew what was right was just beautiful. And it makes me sad that
Whoa,
Scarlet
what
and
the
Violet are
was
so
that?
bugged because this is quality writing, dang it! The pathos, the tragedy, the emotion. Those are probably all
Damn.
synonyms. But still, smooth out the bumps, you could have an S-tier title.
That seems like it's gonna be epic. Part number 2. I almost said
When it
part
comes
2.
to talking about AI, there's a psychological phenomenon known as the uncanny valley. This can also apply to art. The uncanny valley is used to describe something that's so very, very close to appearing real, but falls just short in a way that our minds can perceive, but not always adequately explain. Most of the time, this
Close
is done
but no
unintentionally.
cigar.
A case of Icarus flying too close to the sun and falling short. Sometimes, it's done on purpose. In Star Fox Assault, you spend most of the game fighting these robotic things known only as Aporoids. When they first appear, the older members of Star Fox,
Ooh.
Peppy, and Rob64 completely freak out. At first you, the player, don't really get what the big deal is. They say the Aporoids are dangerous, but they don't seem that much worse than the armies of Andross. That is until this.
Oh no. Oh, hold on, folks. We'll be right back. And we're back.
This.
Jesus!
As it turns
Yep.
out, the Aporoids took a little bit of inspiration from the frickin' Borg. They consume the living to create grotesque mockeries of them, and in war there is no lack of fresh bodies to feast upon. By the time you make it to the Aporoid Queen, General Pepper, Wolf, and even Peppy have all sacrificed themselves to get you to that
Oh,
final confrontation.
damn.
And the Aporoid Queen knows it. Using the voices of Pigma, Pepper, Peppy, and even James McCloud, the Aporoid Queen uses their voices to tempt them into giving up, into joining the collective consciousness, in embracing
death
the
is a better
Aporoid's
alternative.
salvation. However, the Aporoid Queen overplayed her hand in using James's voice. The parody of his father is just off enough. Instead, it makes Fox angry. How dare the Queen use his father's memory like this? The Uncanny Valley is used to unnerve both
Oh,
us
boy.
and Team Star Fox, but they overcome. They attack the Queen. The first stage of the fight is a pretty standard Star Fox dogfight, attempting to blast the weak point of the Aporoid Queen while it taunts you with the voices of the dead. But the trick has already been seen through. It won't work.
Of course
The
it
first
won't.
phase is defeated, and Fox launches the self-destruct program that was designed to destroy all Aporoids once and for all. But something is amiss. We hear the Queen's true voice. She declares all things in the universe are for the Aporoids. She then attempts to flee, suppressing the self-destruct program. If she gets away, she'll nullify it completely. Team Star Fox
Oh,
gives
crap.
chase, entering an on-rails shooting section. The Queen throws everything it has at Star Fox, but in the end, they manage to destroy it, bringing an end to the Aporoid threat, and this really disturbing, but really surprisingly
Mission
good boss
complete.
fight.
But that was some crazy shit. On to the
Blade Wolf, Metal Gear Rising
honorable
Revengeance.
mentions.
He's half Terminator, half Chainsaw Man, half Lassie? Base.exe, Mega Man Battle Network. Oh, why does he get 2 guns? We only got the 1. Monica, Doki Doki Literature Club. She can rewrite her classmates out of existence and even break the game if she wanted.
Yeah,
but she
why
doesn't
not?
because she loves you. Dr. Nefarious, Ratchet and Clank, A Crack in Time. The ultimate big bad of the franchise and a huge ham sandwich. Kinda hurts not putting him on the main list. Data Riku
Get
slash
some mustard on
Roxas,
that.
Recoded. How do you choose between an edgier Riku clone or Axel's Ice Cream Buddy? Who said I had to choose?
And on to number 1.
What is the purpose of an AI? Ask around and there are 2 answers you'll usually get. One is to be our companion and serve us. The other is to surpass us. Of the AI on this list,
Well, try
many of them
to.
are rogue, some of them are sentient, but none of them have succeeded in their purpose quite so well as Omega.
Omega?
Omega has been a mainstay super boss of Final Fantasy for several installments now, but today we're talking about his Final Fantasy XIV iteration. Because why wouldn't we? He just got a brand spanking new Ultimate fight, and the Endwalker expansion gave us a heaping helping of
Damn.
backstory for the AI menace. Where do we start with Omega? Perhaps the
Okay.
beginning is the first place. Many, many eons before the start of the game, there were people on a star far, far away that replaced their flesh and blood with steel and circuitry.
Ooh.
Named the Omicrons, they sought to conquer all other worlds and harvest their resources for themselves. For a long time, their conquest went unopposed, but there were two forces in the galaxy that proved themselves capable of standing up to the Omicrons. The first were the mighty dragons, the other,
Nice.
the Endsinger. As far as the dragons
Nice.
were concerned, the Omicrons considered them the mightiest beings in the galaxy, and Midgardsorm were champion among them. These powerful and nigh-immortal beings fought back ferociously against the Omicron invasion, bringing them to a standstill. For a time, it seemed the dragons might even best the Omicrons, but then MO-17 was installed into a prototype weapon. The weapon and the Omicron who piloted it would become one. They would become Omega. No sooner had the prototyping been finished than Omega took to the battlefield, challenging the mighty Midgardsorm and forcing him to retreat, carrying his unhatched brood with him into the void between stars in an attempt to escape Omega. Eventually, Omega caught up to Midgardsorm, but the journey had weakened him greatly and he crashed onto the planet's surface.
Damn.
Eons passed. Eventually, Omega was found by Nero and was put to use by the Eorzean Alliance to defend against the primal Shinryu. Both crashed in Nalamigo, and sometime after that, the Warrior of Light came across the crater. Inside this crater, Omega had been hard at work creating a dimensional rift inside which it endlessly created powerful life forms
Oh,
to pit against
shit.
each other in combat, pulling data from across myriad dimensions. Omega's goal was to find the mightiest being in all reality and find what made that being so strong in order to copy it and evolve itself into an ever more powerful weapon to smite all.
So it literally created a rip in existence to study creatures to become stronger. I'm sorry, but that is just epic.
Foes of the Omicron.
I love it.
The Warrior of Light did battle against these creations of Omega and eventually Omega himself, able to overpower and defeat one who even Midgardsorm had been forced to flee from. It was then, at that last moment, that Omega wondered if this power to break the limits imposed by a mortal body was what was referred to as a soul. For a while it was thought to be over. Omega was destroyed and the threat is gone forever.
Something's
This
gonna
was not the
happen.
case. Just before the Warrior of Light destroyed his main body, he hid himself in a toy replica of his main body. However, when this is discovered, Omega insists that he doesn't have any weapons, and even if he did, he knows it would be foolish to fight the Warrior of Light again. Instead, he merely
Yeah.
wishes to observe and ask questions, hoping to find the answer to one that has been plaguing him. What is a soul? Omega is number one on this
Ooh.
list, not for his boss fight, not for his savage fight,
Okay.
and not for his ultimate fight, which are all really good, but simply because of how perfectly he represents what a good AI is. Omega is not bound by his programming to repeat the same mistakes over and over. He truly
He's
does
not.
learn, adapt, and maybe one day will overcome the Warrior of Light. Who knows? Crazier things have happened.
Damn.
Hi, I'm Josh Scorcher, and you know what? Let's take a break from the sci-fi, and how about next month? A little fantasy.
Oh yeah, that's right. Fall of Jurassic June, he had done Zelda month. Well, folks, that's gonna be the end of today's episode. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link will be in the description below. And I hope to see all you folks next time when we flick on. Peace out.